The stats don't lie. 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 fear. Shedeur Sanders didn't just manage the game. He elevated it. He looked like a seasoned starter, not a fifth-round rookie buried on the depth chart weeks ago. His timing was crisp, reads flawless, and mobility used with surgical precision. It was a kind of film NFL coaches will study, not for what went wrong, but to understand how a quarterback this overlooked executed so cleanly, and for a franchise starving for competence at that position.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
It was nothing short of revelation. This wasn't a fluke or a hot hand. Sanders made plays only top-tier quarterbacks make, with a broken pocket, against complex coverages, under immense pressure. His performance raised serious questions, not just about draft evaluation, but about Cleveland's future. Deion Sanders watched his son deliver on every promise the scouts ignored. If the Browns want out of quarterback purgatory, they now have a path forward, one that starts with trust, patience, and a full commitment to what Shedeur just proved he can become. There are rookie debuts, and then there's what Shedeur Sanders just did to the NFL. 364 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 touchdown on the ground. That stat line doesn't just make headlines. It makes history. No rookie quarterback in the league this season has come close to delivering a performance that complete, that polished, or that loud. And yet, the loudest part of all of this, he wasn't even supposed to be here. A fifth-round pick, passed over by dozens of teams, viewed as a long-term project, expected to sit, develop quietly, and maybe see some playing time if things got desperate. Well, things did get desperate in Cleveland. And that desperation may have accidentally led them to something they've been chasing for 30 years, a real franchise quarterback, because what Shedeur just did wasn't normal. It wasn't a feel-good game. It wasn't a rookie overachieving against soft competition. It was a statement, one that shook up not just the Browns' quarterback room, but the entire league's idea of what makes a top pick worth it. Let's not overlook the context. This wasn't just a game. It was the game. Shedeur Sanders, the overlooked fifth-rounder, going head-to-head with Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick, the guy with all the pre-draft hype, the guaranteed starter, the face of his franchise. And in that same game, under those same lights, it was Shedeur, not Ward, who looked like the future of the league. While Ward struggled, Shedeur thrived. While Ward hesitated, Shedeur took command. The contrast was impossible to miss, and symbolic in every way. It challenged the entire system of draft valuation. It threw the concept of pedigree right out the window. Because talent? It doesn't care about draft position. The field doesn't care who was picked first. And neither does Shedeur Sanders. He came in quiet, unassuming, barely given a chance early in the season. And then when that chance finally came, he didn't just show flashes. He delivered the kind of all-around performance NFL scouts dream of. Precision passing, control mobility, big-time throws, smart reads, and most importantly, leadership on a team with a losing record and a fractured identity. Shedeur was the most composed person on the field, and that part is key, because it wasn't just about stats. It was about presence. You don't step into a struggling franchise midseason, throw for nearly 400 yards, run in a touchdown, and keep your team in the game with pure poise unless you're built for it. Period. Then all of it, happened while Deion Sanders watched in the stands. You could see what it meant. For Shedeur, for Coach Prime, for everyone who's been following their journey. From being dismissed in the draft process to finally earning that spotlight the right way. On the field, through performance, not potential. Not politics. Not hype. And that's the part that should have the Browns rethinking everything they thought they knew about this roster. Because for decades, this franchise has been looking for the answer at quarterback. They've tried high draft picks. They've traded for veterans. They've forced square pegs into round schemes. And year after year, the outcome never changes. But now, they've got someone who made all of that history look like a warm-up. The Browns didn't win the game. That was on the defense, on poor late-game decisions, on coaching breakdowns. Shedeur did his job, and then he gave them a shot. He kept the team alive. He led scoring drives. He responded under pressure. And he never once looked overwhelmed. That's not something you teach. That's not something that comes from being a 5-star recruit or having NFL bloodlines. That's something that's earned through preparation, mental toughness, and resilience. And Shedeur's entire journey proves that resilience is part of his DNA. He was doubted, dropped in the draft, treated as a long-term gamble rather than a player who could contribute now. He didn't get early opportunities. He wasn't the focus of the off-season plan. He didn't walk into a tailor-made system. And still, when he finally got the chance, he turned it into one of the best rookie quarterback performances the league has seen in years. So now the question becomes, what happens next? Because this is the part where Cleveland usually gets it wrong. They hesitate. They overanalyze. They let internal politics get in the way. They start thinking too much about contracts and narratives and outside pressure. But if they've learned anything, at all, this is the moment to act. They don't need another season of quarterback limbo. They don't need another stopgap. They don't need to keep searching. They need to build. Because Shedeur Sanders gave them something that can't be ignored, a real foundation. He's not just a player with upside. He's already proving he can lead at the highest level, even without perfect conditions around him. And that's what makes his performance so significant. This wasn't a system carrying a rookie. This was a rookie carrying a broken system. You put most young quarterbacks in that same spot on a losing team with limited reps under the national microscope, and you're going to see mistakes, panic, bad decisions, self-doubt. Shedeur gave you poise, control, confidence, execution, and that's why this is bigger than one game. It's about the future of the Browns. They've been chasing a franchise quarterback for so long that the phrase barely means anything anymore. But when one falls into your lap, one you didn't expect, one who had to fight for the opportunity, you don't make the mistake of letting it slip away. And make no mistake, other teams saw this. The rest of the league is paying attention. Analysts are already rewriting their draft takes. Coaches are reevaluating their scouting reports. Players are watching film and asking how this kid slipped to the 5th round. Because it's clear now that Shedeur Sanders isn't just good for where he was drafted. He's good, period. The Browns can't afford to slow play this. Not when the performance speaks for itself. Not when the locker room is seeing what he brings. Not when the fan base, so used to disappointment, is finally excited about what's possible. And yes, it's only one game. Yes, consistency matters. But if this is the floor, if this is the kind of performance we get when he's thrown into a high-pressure start with a broken roster and a bad record, what does it look like when he's given a full offseason as a starter? What does it look like when the playbook is tailored to him? When the organization backs him completely? That's the potential Cleveland has in front of them right now. And if they ignore it, if they try to slow roll this, if they get caught up in the same old patterns, they won't just be wasting a game. They'll be wasting the moment. Because it's rare. A player who falls through the cracks of the draft, waits his turn, faces the pressure, and then delivers when it counts? That doesn't happen every Shedeur Sanders did it. And now he's changed the conversation. Not just about his own career, but about what Cleveland might finally be building. This could be the start of something they haven't had in decades. Actual stability at quarterback. But that only happens if the team steps up and treats this for what it is. Not luck, not lightning in a bottle, but the result of talent meeting opportunity. Let us know where you stand. Was this the moment that changes everything for the Browns? Should Shedeur be the starter from here on out? And if you had doubts before, did this game finally flip the script? Tap the like button if you believe the Browns might have found something real. Drop a comment with your take. Share this with someone who still thinks draft order determines destiny. And hit subscribe. Because the story of Shedeur Sanders? It's far from over. The story of Shedeur Sanders isn't just about one game. It's not even just about a single breakout performance. It's about what that moment means for him, for the Cleveland Browns, and for every player who's ever been told they're not NFL ready because they didn't fit the mold. Let's be crystal clear. This wasn't supposed to happen. A 5th-round quarterback is not supposed to outplay the number 1 overall pick. He's not supposed to walk into the NFL and immediately command an offense like a 10-year vet. He's not supposed to set the single best rookie QB performance of the season. And he's definitely not supposed to do all of that in Cleveland, the graveyard of quarterbacks. But Shedeur did, and he did it with everyone watching, against all odds, with every doubter and critic ready to pounce, with a franchise that hasn't had a truly stable quarterback situation in 3 decades. Let's sit with that for a second. 3 decades. That's over 30 starting quarterbacks. 30 guys who came in, were sold as a one, and ended up being part of the same tragic cycle. Failure, blame, reset, repeat. But Shedeur didn't just play well, he broke the cycle. If only for a day, he snapped Cleveland out of the quarterback haze has been stuck in for a generation. Because the way he played, that wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a lucky day. It wasn't garbage time stats. It was everything you want from a modern NFL quarterback. Arm talent, precision, mobility, composure, leadership, accountability. The best part? He didn't need ideal conditions to make it happen. The Browns weren't rolling. The team wasn't on a win streak. He wasn't dropped into a high-functioning machine. He was dropped into Cleveland, a team with a poor record, a roster that's been inconsistent, a coaching staff that hasn't exactly inspired confidence. And still, Shedeur delivered. That's what you call a quarterback elevating the team. Not just blending in, not just surviving, elevating. And it forces a very real question. What happens when you actually build around him? Because right now, Sanders is doing this without full team support, without a scheme that's catered to his strengths, without a full offseason as QB1. So what does he look like when the franchise finally commits? When he has time to lead, when he has protection and weapons, when he's treated like the face of the team instead of the backup turned accidental. That's the next chapter. Or at least it should be. The risk here, what Cleveland can't afford to do, is shrug this off as a hot hand. They can't fall into the trap of playing it safe, of dragging their feet, of letting politics or old-school draft logic dictate what they already know in their gut. Shedeur Sanders has earned the job. Not in theory, not in potential, in practice, in results, in production, in performance. This is the part where the Browns usually zig when they should zag, where they overthink, where they start comparing resumes instead of watching the tape. But if they're serious about building something sustainable, they have to move with purpose. Give him the keys. Build around him. Let him lead, because he just gave you something that can't be faked. Hope with proof. It's not, maybe he could be good. It's, he's already shown us he's good, even under the worst conditions. And if you're still unsure, go back and watch the tape. The footwork, the decision-making, the calm in the pocket, the way he took control of drives, responded to pressure, and made plays when the game was on the line. These aren't traits you gamble on. These are traits you build on. So let's not forget, this wasn't just about personal stats. This was a symbolic, franchise-altering performance. The kind that cuts through years of dysfunction and forces an organization to stop pretending like things are fine, because they're not. The Browns have been chasing an answer at quarterback for so long, they've forgotten what a real one looks like. Until now, it took a fifth-rounder, a rookie with zero entitlement, a guy who was doubted at every level, from his college competition to his draft evaluation, a guy whose own legitimacy was questioned simply because of who his father is. But Shedeur didn't just meet expectations. He obliterated them. And here's what makes it poetic. The guy on the other sideline, Cam Ward, had everything Shedeur didn't. Draft capital, media attention, system support. Yet when the lights came on, it wasn't the top pick who looked like the future of the league. It was the rookie no one believed in. That game told a story louder than any press conference or hype reel. It told the story of a player who belongs, no matter where he was drafted. A player who turned one opportunity into a statement. So what now? Well, that depends entirely on what Cleveland does next. They have 2 paths. 1, they embrace this moment, recognize the talent in front of them, and go all in on a quarterback who might finally be the one to pull this franchise out of its never-ending spiral. Or 2, they hesitate. They delay. They treat it like an interesting option instead of a turning point. and they risked throwing away the best chance they've had in 30 years. Because while the fans were frustrated with another loss, no one blamed Shedeur. That's how you know he did everything right. Even in defeat, he left the field with more support, more belief, and more clarity around what he brings than ever before. And when you have a quarterback who gives your fan base a reason to believe, not just hope but believe, you don't mess around. You lean in, you double down, you give him the full weight of the franchise and say, "It's yours. Let us." Two, let's be honest, this doesn't happen in Cleveland. Quarterback miracles? Breakout stars? Poised, unshakable rookies who look like they've been here for years? That's not the Brown story. That's never been the Brown story. But suddenly, out of nowhere it is. And the guy rewriting the script is a fifth-round rookie named Shedeur Sanders. You have to let that sink in. Because when you spent decades watching this team shuffle through quarterback after quarterback, from first-round busts to one-year rentals, you start to believe that maybe this is just how it is. That the Browns will always be a team searching for an identity. That maybe there is no such thing as a franchise quarterback in Cleveland. But then this happens. Shedeur Sanders walks onto that field. Not as a backup filling in, not as a placeholder, but as a rookie with something to prove. And in just 4 quarters, he changes the entire conversation. Not just about himself, about the team, about what the future could actually look like if the Browns decide to believe in what's right in front of them. That game didn't feel like a fluke. It felt like clarity. Every throw he made was calculated, confident. He wasn't forcing the ball. He wasn't locking in on his first read and panicking. He was going through progressions, extending plays without bailing on the pocket too early, threading passes into tight windows, throwing receivers open, moving the chains. And when the red zone closed in, he got it done with his arm and his legs. He played like a quarterback who understood the assignment. Protect the ball, stay poised, make plays, and lead. And yes, the Browns still lost. But for once, no one cared about the final score. That game wasn't about the win. It was about the revelation, the eye-opener, the shift from maybe to he might actually be the guy. And that's not something this franchise can afford to ignore again. Because here's the thing. Cleveland has been here before. Glimpses of hope. One good game. A flash of talent. And then nothing. A coaching change. A scheme change. A quarterback carousel that never stopped spinning. But Shedeur's performance? It was different. It wasn't just a good day for a rookie. It was the best rookie QB performance of the entire season. Not just in Cleveland. In the NFL, there's no spinning that. 364 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, all while outplaying the number 1 overall pick in the same game. That's not potential. That's production. And when you have a quarterback putting up numbers like that, you don't wait. You don't play politics. You don't get stuck in old thinking about draft capital or depth charts. You make the call. You go all in. Because these moments are rare, and the Browns of all teams should know how dangerous it is to waste them. This is a city that's been begging for something, anything to believe in. Every quarterback since the 90s has come with a promise, a new hope, a new scheme. A new, this time it's different. It never was. But this time, it actually feels like it is. Because the biggest difference with Shedeur isn't just the stats. It's his presence, his energy, the way the team plays with him under center. The spark, the rhythm, the confidence that he brings. That can't be faked, and it can't be coached. That's what makes it dangerous to underestimate him. Because the more you try to box him in with expectations, the more he shatters them. You could see it in the way the team responded on the field. Receivers playing harder. The line fighting for protection. The sideline watching, not just existing, but tuned in, locked in, following a guy who looked like he had full control of the moment. And that's the part people miss when they only look at the box score. Leadership doesn't always show up in numbers. It shows up in the way a team moves when you're under center. And in this case, they move like they believed. That belief? It doesn't come easy in Cleveland. But Shedeur earned it with one game. He turned years of skepticism into a sliver of something this city hasn't had in way too long. Hope, based on facts. Now the question becomes, Does the organization see it? Do the decision makers in the building understand what they have? Or are they going to let hesitation and old habits derail a quarterback who might finally be able to break the curse? Because it is a curse. Let's not sugarcoat it. Cleveland has been chasing a quarterback longer than some of its fans have been alive. And here, out of the 5th round, comes Shedeur Sanders, cool under pressure, sharp with the ball, and already showing signs of the kind of poise you just can't. So what now? It's not complicated. Build around him. Protect him. Develop the offense with him. Give him a full offseason with the ones. Make him the guy. Let him lead. Don't wait for another mistake. Don't slow play it. Don't split reps in camp or flirt with the idea of keeping the competition open. He competed. He won. The tape tells the truth. And if Cleveland ignores that truth, they won't just be repeating history. They'll be erasing a future that finally looks promising. Because let's be real, Shedeur Sanders didn't just change the mood. He changed the stakes. This isn't about whether he might be good someday. This is about what he already is. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Shedeur be the Browns starter moving forward? Did he just end the quarterback curse? Or is this the calm before another storm? Let's hear what you think. Hit the like button if you saw something special in that performance. Share this with a fan who's been riding the Browns roller coaster for years. And subscribe, because the Shedeur Sanders era might just be getting